Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode of the Devrel Show. Always happy to be here, even if today, let me tell you, in my office, it is pretty hot right now. Summertime in Canada and Quebec. July can be really hot, can be really humid, but I won't complain. I know it can be a lot more in other countries, but still, for me, I don't have central AC. It's a thing here. We Many people have ACs, and I don't have one. I plan to have one, but I lost my job, and I didn't have a paycheck for the last 4 months. I got my first paycheck recently, but I was a
Yay.
while without a job, so it's not a priority anymore. But yeah, for sure, an AC will be someday interesting because right now, pardon me if I'm sweating my life during the show. So another episode, another amazing guest. I'm super excited to have Pachi with me today. I don't even know if I said it correctly, but yeah, okay, I'm good. So I think we've been following each other on like Twitter, LinkedIn for years, but unless I'm really wrong, because I have a shitty memory for those kind of things, I don't think we ever met. So I think that's kind of like making it the first time. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think
I'm
you're
trying to
right.
read your face now. Okay, okay. That was just
Yeah,
because I feel so awful when I tell people like, "Oh, nice to meet you for the first time," and people are like, "Yeah, Fred, we've met before," but I really have a bad memory when it comes to like faces or even name is kind of okay, but we really need to have like a long discussion so I remember you. But any cases, happy for you to be here. Thanks a lot for doing that. So let me start with the first question. Who are you, Passion?
well, first, thank you for inviting me. And who am I? I'm Pachi. I'm here in Brazil. I am a cat mom. There's a cat here sleeping on my hand. And I live in the country of Brazil. I work in developer relations for the last 5 years. I was in the US for 10 years. Just got back from Brazil a little while ago. Currently, I work at GitHub, focus on Brazilian community. I do a lot of community work. I like to work like with college students and generally teaching people how to code and do cool stuff. Outside of that, I am an avid reader. Like I read a lot of fiction, like a lot. Like in the pandemic here, I read 120 books, and people say that's a lot. So, but in a regular year, I read like 60 books.
I mean, we need to talk about this. Maybe not during the show. I don't know, but like one of my goals this year was to try to read more. Like disconnect from the screen. I spend most of my day when I'm not at conferences. I spend most of my day in front of the screen. When I have some free time, yeah, there's some activities, some hobbies. I see my friend, but I would say when I'm alone at home and I have some free time, or after a work day to disconnect, I watch TV, which is like still screen time again. So I was like, you know what? I need to read more books. And you seem like you have found the way to do that at
That's
another
called
level than me
hyperfocus.
reading. Like, say that again.
That's called hyperfocus. Like if I get a
Yeah.
non-fiction book
Oh,
to read, it can take me months. But like the fiction and I get into it, like it's a day. So
I think that's the difference. I had that discussion with someone before, and they said, like, you know what, Fred, when you read a book, it doesn't have to be like something that's going to help you improve your work. It doesn't need to be something that's going to improve your life. It can be like just fiction, comics, whatever that can like take
yeah.
your mind away. And I was like, I think I didn't stuck with that advice. I should probably, because I always try to like I read books on Buddhism, and like those are complex topics. So like they take times. There are things that I'm passionate about, but at the same time, I also have ADHD. My like attention goes everywhere. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a
that's
goal.
why I read, like to just get away. Apparently I'm addicted to like get away. But yeah, it's like when you read fiction, you just go to another life that's not yours. And it's kind of fun after like a day of working or like a week of traveling, just get your bed and get some book and go visit some different place that you never will be, but at the same time you're there for like the duration of that
Yeah.
book.
I agree, and I need to tell people. that's really going to be a hard devrel show. That's going to be a hard episode because there is a cat with Pachi. The cat seems to stay with us, which is amazing. But let me tell you, oh my god, big yawn. That's gonna take all my attention. So if I feel lost during the show, it's not because I'm tired. It's not because it's out in my office. It's because there is a cat in front of me.
This show is about cats.
Actually,
Forget about
I would
devrel.
love to do love to do a show about that. You know what? What I really love with that show is that I do basically whatever I want with the show. I mean, it's my show. I've been doing live stream for employers and past employers, and if I was leaving the place or if unfortunately like Devrel was laid off or I lost my job or whatever the reasons. Those shows were connected to my employer, so I basically lost those shows. So this is where the Devrel show came from. It was a mix between we need to talk more about developer relation because it's way more popular now than it was like 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, but still there's a lot of people that do not know devrel. So that show, really, the idea was like, okay, let's talk about devrel. Let's also have a show that I own, so no matter who I work for, no matter what's happening in my professional life, I can continue to do that show and I can do whatever I want with it because I have no constraint. So, with you talking about cats, I had another guest when we talked about Lego, another guest where we talk about other stuff. And I know it's not DevRel centric, but at the same time, it is developer relation. I mean, that job is about who we are. It's about our personality. It's about what we like, what we don't like. So, yeah, happy to talk about cats. It's one of my, as you can see in the background, you see just part of it. There's a painting of a cat, and maybe my cat's gonna show up. Like there's a mouse there, cat mouse there, which is not poop. It's a cat toy, but it's in the background. So happy to talk about anything that makes sense. And we have Lexica. Who say hi. Hopefully, I didn't screw up your username. Thanks for
Everybody does.
joining us.
Like her is a name, and like she's my best friend.
Oh,
Like
okay.
everybody gets her name wrong. But initially, when she came up with that, was supposed to be Leviska, right? But people in Brazil call her
Okay.
Levichica. So yours was closer than what she usually gets.
Oh, that's good because one of the things I really like to being able to do is be respectful for like how people pronounce their name, but at the same time, there's just sounds that I cannot make, which is like it's like my name. Like people call me Fred, but it's it's a nickname. My real name is Frédéric, but Frédéric is really hard to say if you don't speak French. Like Anglophone will say like Frédéric, and it's like it's close enough. And I personally do not care, but it's hard to pronounce some like names from other countries. So right now I'm
why
at a new company.
I write
Sorry,
Pachi
go ahead.
like this. Like my name is Patricia, right? And usually in Brazil, when you call Patricia, your nickname is Pachi. But in the US, when I spell I was in the US for 10 years. And when you spell Pachi like you do in Brazil, they read Patty. And Patricia, they say Patricia. So it was very like weird on my brain. So I asked like my American friend, say, hi, how do you spell Pachi for an English speaker? And he spelled like this, like Pachi. And okay, that's my name now.
I like that. It's also. I mean, for me, it was natural to be called Fred. Like outside of my parents that call me Frederick, like everybody called me Fred right away. Like even if you don't know me, people call me Fred. So it was kind of like natural. But at the same time, Fred is kind of like okay to pronounce no matter where you're from. It's easier, as I said, than Frederic because there's the accent and like it's French specific. So that's great. So Pachi, tell me a little bit more about your job right now. You're a developer advocate lead on Brazil at GitHub. What does that mean to be a developer advocate at GitHub? What does that mean to be like the lead of Brazil?
I mean, lead is a fancy word because I'm the only person in Brazil working. There's some people that work in the enterprise, but the community side of Brazil, that is like only me and the only person here. GitHub is pretty cool. We have cats. Cool. So I have been in GitHub for like, I was there for a year and a half, then I had a break and then I came back. It's pretty cool. I work with everything community related in Brazil, like, for all the DevRel stuff, because I'm the only person. and there's not like my leaders are not in the region, so I have lots of autonomy to choose what I'm gonna do. I really like that. Like, I can choose the content I'm gonna create. Of course, right now, for example, GitHub Copilot is our focus is here, but I can also use my job like to fill any gaps I feel in the Brazilian community. Like, there's also content in English, right? So I try to create content in Portuguese whenever I can for things like, for example, I go to the GitHub blog and I see, oh, this article was really popular in English. So I get this article and I give like I don't translate things properly. Say I just get the idea that the article and do a Portuguese version like with I Spain. Other culture is different. Like, it's funny because I feel like a big part of devs in Brazil they know English, but it's different when you consuming content in your mother tongue. It's like more comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty fluent in English, but still, I prefer reading things in Portuguese whenever I can.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think it's pretty cool from GitHub to be open to that, because usually, even with big companies, sometimes it's just like, you know what, they're tech people, they should know English, so we're gonna focus on English content, and like everybody's gonna have to deal with English content, English first content. So it's great for GitHub to say like, hey, now we need to create Portuguese content because it makes more sense for that region. Even as you said, like some or maybe like many people speak English or like understanding enough to be able to
Yeah,
consume the
and I
content.
speak English, but like, at least like enough to write down and have basic context. Like, and
Yeah,
he's
no,
gone. My keyboard is full of cat hair. Oh no, he's not gone. I thought he would.
it's back. Yes, yes, it's back.
Okay.
No, that's amazing, and I know the feeling about cat hair. At my place, I don't clean my place because it's disgusting. I clean my place because I have cat hairs everywhere. So it's really like it's pretty clean, but like there's always cat hairs. And right now, I don't know how many cats you have. I have one. I used to have two. Unfortunately, I had to. I lost one cat, but there is another one coming soon. So, two cats is a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair.
Yeah, I have three cats, and like my first two, they are just regular street cats, so it was okay. And last year for my birthday, I got as a gift a half person cat, and I'm tell you, their hair is a whole different game. They are high maintenance. Like, I
Yeah.
had to take him to take a bath like every month, and his hair is so thin and he likes to roll around. So like it gets this very looks like a cotton ball, and you cannot brush away. He probably will show up at some point because he likes to show off.
Oh, that's great. And we have Rizal. It's been forever, my friend. Come on, you say hi to Pachi, not hi to me. Okay, I'm gonna take this personally now. It's fine. It's fine. It's a joke. Thanks for joining us. And Pachi, I was looking at your LinkedIn. Understand a little bit like your experience. And you also created a company called, and this one I'm not gonna do it correctly. Abaca T Devrel. No, yes,
Oh,
you're
that's
laughing.
actually
It's
pretty
not good.
close. Yeah.
That was close
Only
enough.
thing, like
Okay.
in Portuguese, when we read devrel, it sounds a lot like devrel. So it's like funny
Okay.
because yeah, or R's or H's are like R's. So like yeah, we joke
And
like
what
not
does
from
that company what what is doing what does that company
hell.
do?
So basically, like how devrel is not something new, but people often think it's new, and people often don't know what devrel is about. This is especially true in Brazil, right? And often people just reach out to me saying, "Hey, Pachi, what is devrel? Like, does it make sense in my company? How I can start that?" So that's the purpose behind that. It's just like in helping companies figure out, like, if devrel makes sense for them, how to start, how to hire people. Um, yeah, it's a little consulting company, like, whatever company or a person needs a mentorship, just how to get started on devrel. I help them with that. And also community plan, sometimes content creation, have done some of that too.
Okay,
Like my
sounds
goal is
cool.
like
Yeah, I thought about
share devrel in Brazil.
that's good. Yeah, I thought about doing that at some point, but I have enough job with my full-time work that I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna try to get more contracts on the side. I just can't. I have like already too much work, and as much as I love doing developer relation, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna concentrate on like a full-time job. And Riza, thank you. Now you're good. Now you're good. You said hi, Fred. Awesome. And I have another question for you again, based on your experience. I've seen that like prior to your first time at GitHub, you were at I forgot New Relic. Oh, they changed their logo. I was at you were at New Relic, and you were a developer relations engineer. And that title is new-ish from a couple of years. Like before, nobody was called like developer relations engineers. And when it first came up, I thought it was like just like an engineer, a developer that is part of the developer relation teams. But my understanding is that like it's a developer advocate role that is considered maybe a little more technical, because maybe you're gonna code, like maybe you're gonna develop SDK, you're gonna be more like code tutorial or like code demo or stuff like that. That we still do a developer advocate, but like what's your take on that specific title, the role you had at New Relic?
Honestly, it was a regular dev advocate role. I think like when I joined, the team is pretty new. I think our manager wants to do something, this new thing, and make sure like we were respected in the company. So I feel like putting the engineer title on that, make sure that the devs like look at you and respect you more. But it was pretty scary. Like it
Mm.
was a junior role, and I was like, "Wow, what is engineer in my title? I don't know engineering stuff." But I think it was like what you did. I did then the most. Lots of things are similar to what I do now. So I feel like it's the most like the manager could choose the title he would give us, and that's what John chose.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because I started at a new job at Tiny MCE. It's my fourth month right now, so I'm at the end of my first not 4 month, fourth week. I'm at the end of my first month here, and so I was interviewing before, and especially for developer advocate role, either high C or leadership role. And there was some company where the title was really specific about like developer relation engineers, but when I was talking to them, it was exactly a developer advocate role. But it came from a little bit what you said, like ensuring that people understand that like it's a technical role. And I
Mhm.
think, and maybe it's me, but like I think there's also developer advocates out there that may not be technical, that may not have like background as engineers, developer, that may not have the technical parts, that they still talk to the developer. And it seems like, from my understanding, with the company I talked to, they were afraid that like if they were hiring a developer advocate, that person may not have been technical enough. So it's why they were looking for developer relation engineer, which is I can kind of understand. I mean, like I'm still technical. I consider myself technical. I consider myself a developer. But if I really want to be honest, I'm not as technical as I am right now than the last time I was like a full-time software developer where I was coding full-time. I mean, right now I code because I need to learn the technology, because I need to create demos, because I need to create talks, because I need to like do a repo and get up to show a new technology, a new feature. But I'm not building software anymore. So I'm still technical, but not as much as maybe I used to be.
It's hard to keep up.
It is.
Like in particular,
It,
I'm developer advocate, but I like more the community side of things. So I do tend to be like, I mean, I have a background as a developer, but you're not as technical as some developers. So, I wouldn't be comfortable anymore with like a role of engineering.
mhm. Yeah, I think I've always said that I kind of miss being a developer full time because I loved creating software. Maybe in that new era, maybe it's not something that I would still like to do. But like when I put things on the scales in terms of like, what I like to do in developer relation as a developer advocate, and what I like to do in engineering, like developer advocate is closer to what I love to do, because it's still a technical role. I still can code. I still talk to developers, but there's all those other things that usually, depending on a company, most engineers do not do, like public speaking, writing blog content, helping with the docs, networking with the community, being on social media, all those things that are kind of like part of the role that I love to do so much.
Mm-hmm. No, no, I understand. Like when I was a dev, it was all good and fun, but when I found out what devrel was, I was like, wow, that's just something that I really wanted to do. Like I didn't know that was a job.
And how did you start? How did you go from developer to developer advocate? What's your story there?
So I was actually a nanny for a huge part of my life, and I started into the transition when I was like 28 already. So I would take my laptop to work, put the baby to nap in the afternoon, and like study while the baby was napping. And then the pandemic hit, and I got my first dev job was like in an agency. Honestly, it was a terrible job, but I was doing some work. I started doing live streaming, live coding on Twitch, just because no, I was bored, and I started meeting lots of people and getting to know some awesome people. I was very active on Twitter. I was sharing my learnings, and I was doing the dev job, but like my free time I was doing lots of things that some would call devrel. And
Mm.
in the end of 2020, somebody reached out to me saying, I did like this interview, and the person that was actually Tracy Lee, she's like, hey, we filled the position for
Okay.
the developer from them, but I'm looking for somebody in devrel, like would like to talk about this. And I had no idea what devrel was, but I really wanted like another job. So I told her, like, no, I never thought about that, but I totally would consider. And then started like research DevRel, and I got obsessed. And she hired me. It was like a part time, and it was interesting because it was like a Twitter job. Like I would write
Mm.
tweets, and engage with the community. It was a kind of fun. But then like I got obsessed about DevRel, and something it was really funny because Jonan, that's my manager, was my manager in Relic. He posted something, hey, we're hiring people for DevRel, whatever. And in September, I shared his post with a comment and saying, I really hope to do something like that in a couple of years. And fast forward to November, like, I know how to draw, I love dropping names, like Ciara Ford. She was in an interview with him, but they want somebody who streams, and she didn't want to do that. So she's, hey, Pachi, talk to Jonan. And I talked to him like on a Wednesday, on a Monday was hired. So I love how I was like
Well,
very, hey, my friend, talk about a friend. And yeah, and I had no idea that I could work at the role this early in my career. It's rare, but it was awesome. Like, hey, when I got like the offer, I was like, oh, I can actually do this. Fun.
I can get paid to do those kind of things. It's there's so many things I want to say for everything you've talked about. First, great story. It's funny because every time I ask that question to a guest, because I like to understand how, because most people, like mostly nobody started at like, oh, my first job as a developer advocate. Like we've done something before, technical or no. But it's mostly always the same story. Every time I'm open to hear something new, but like it's always like I was starting to do those kind of things on my own, and I realized that I could get paid, and I got a job, and this is how I started. And this is basically the story of like everybody in DevRel. We already were doing those kind of things, which I still like to hear because I do a lot of like free coffee chat with folks, and once in a while there is someone that wants to talks about like they want to move into DevRel, and they're like, Fred, how do I do that? And my answer, I feel it's a boring answer, but my answer is always like start to do the job without being paid for it, which sucks a
Mhm.
little bit because you need to still have a job to get money, to make a living. So during your free time, start to do what you would do as a developer advocate. So once you start to interview, you can show some example of like your quote unquote work, and you can show people that you can do the job without like you can do the job before having that specific job. So it's a little bit like it's a journey that we all went through, going from I'm doing that to like, oh yes, I can get paid to do that kind of job.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
nobody leaves college should be like dev advocate.
Yeah, and I also like the fact, like one of the things you said, like oh, I would like to do that job in a couple of years, and actually you started to do that job because people were like, no, you can do that job now. Um, I love that because this is what I tell people, and I know right now it's really difficult to, like, the market is terrible in tech right now. It's really difficult to find a job, no matter the experience you have. But what I tell people is like, don't try to limit yourself to what's in the job description. Obviously, if they're looking for someone with 10 years and you have 1 year, may not make sense. But like, even if you don't have like specific experience that they are looking for, but you're willing to learn, you may have some personal experience that resonate with the professional job. Try it. Worst case, they're going to say no,
Mhm.
which sucks, because that's going to be one more no in your journey of searching a new job. But you never know. Like you, it happened. They were like, hey, no, you know what? Do that job. You can do that job right now. I had some jobs where I didn't have the requirement, and some people won't be open to this at all. But maybe you're gonna end up with someone who's open to have a discussion with you, and help you kickstart your journey. That was the same thing for me at Microsoft. I think my first job as a developer advocate was at Microsoft, and when they approached me, like, they were looking for someone bilingual. I was not speaking English, so they gave me a chance. And I think they were looking for someone with a little bit of like developer advocacy experience, which I didn't have. I mean, I was doing those kind of things on my own time again, but nobody ever paid me to do that before. But they gave me a chance, and hopefully they did not regret it. That's a different story. Maybe they did. Maybe my manager at the time did, but I'm still here. I'm still doing developer relation after all these years. So, no. Last
That's
question
awesome.
for you, and after that, I think it's going to be time for us to move to the demo part. But this is a generic question that I ask all the guests because I really like to understand that, and I know there's people watching us that want to start in developer relations. So maybe I stole the question by answering before with my own answer. But what would you say? You've been doing that for a couple of years now. What would you say to someone who wants to start as a developer advocate? Someone who wants to have that role, the role we have.
I guess like to start creating something like, but not just like, oh, I create a blog and I post something and I don't tell anybody about that. You have to be vocal, like in or not, the developer advocates like in the most of roles in DevRel, you have to be like a bit showy, right? Even if like I am an introvert, I don't show off in person, but on the internet, any chance I get, I will like share an article or a video or be in a string because it's important. Like people have to see you, right? And as they say,
Yeah.
like who is not seen is not remembered. And it's especially true in DevRel, right? You don't have to be an extrovert. Actually, many of the DevRel people I know, they are introverts. Um,
I was
these
surprised
are
by that. It's true. I
these
mean,
are
sorry, I cut you, but I was surprised by that because I'm an extrovert, and I worked like my first job. I had two or three color colleagues that were extrovert too, but we had introvert people. And I was like, "How do you do that job?" And basically, the deal was like, we're way more tired than you, let's say, when we go at events, and like you can go to the party because you get energy from like being with people, talking to people. But like after the conference, we don't go to the party, we go to your hotel room and we just go disconnect, recharge, and relax. And I was
Mhm.
like, that's amazing. I mean, like, I do not know if I would be able to do that most of the time. I'm saying that, but like I'm getting older now. I've been doing that for so many years. Now I feel like I'm more like a ambivert than a total extreme extrovert. So now I also have my time where like I go to conferences and I'm just drained because I talk to people all day long. But yeah, yeah, don't limit yourself if you're like, oh, I'm not an extrovert, I cannot do that job. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
as you said, Pachi, I, I think most of the devrel I know are introvert, with a couple of
Mhm.
exceptions, but it's true.
That's like a big misconception that introverts are like shy, but that is not a rule, right? Yeah. The biggest difference
Okay.
about introverts, extroverts is where I get energy from, like you say. And extroverts pretty like to be around people and that gives the energy. It's not like I don't like being around people, I love it. But it's just
Mhm.
tiring and exhausting. Like when I got home from an event, people, my family won't see me for a couple of days because I just can't people, you know. Not because I don't like you, I love you people. but it's tiring.
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard,
true. Yeah.
but it's fun. Like, when you're there at the event, that's worth it.
Yeah. Now I hear you. I love that. Awesome. So, we're two developer advocates. We could talk forever. I think it's time for us to move to the demo part of the show. So you're gonna tell us a little more about GitHub Copilot, demo us how it's
Okay,
working for the
I don't know
folks
how
who
long
do
it's
not
been.
know about it.
I want to show you something that I've been doing. One thing that I found, I, it's true in Brazil, and I feel it's true in lots of countries. When people go to CS college, they do not teach the Git flow, right? The GitHub, like the collaboration. Um, and I was in the beginning of the year, I did this workshop teaching students how to use Git and how to contribute to open source. And people keep asking me to do that. So I created like this little template. So I have a done workshop where I teach people how to contribute to open source as simple as possible and using Copilot to make things easier. So that's what we're gonna show today. This is the board. Like basically, I have a template. So like each college I go, I make a different template for that specific college or school. This is like the general programming tips. So the mission here is for the students to add a tip here, right? I could have just had a bottom here, like a form for them to type something, but they did contribute to open source. So here is my template. Very basic documentation, writing by Copilot. I have used Copilot so much for doing readmes because that was always the worst part for me. I will always miss some information or like be too lazy to format the markdown properly. So, but yeah, I swear I review everything that Copilot writes. It just like makes life easier. So I just work through. I'm gonna walk through what I teach the students, and it's pretty simple. I don't like to say simple usually, but if you're watching this, you're in devrel, so this is simple for you. So basically, there's a repository here. I'm gonna tell them to fork the repository and explain that when you're forking the repository, you're making a copy of the things for you. So you can mess up. I think the biggest thing people they are afraid of contribute to open source, like, hey, I'm gonna touch somebody else's code, and that's scary. And if you break everything, or if you break everything, is because the maintainer didn't review your pull request properly. So it's totally their fault. I just make sure,
It
like,
is.
when I do this before people start contributing, to make sure that they are on a forked version, because I had some people forking and going back to the main repository and doing things there. So, but as like you can do whatever you want in your forked version because it's yours, and you cannot break any code because it's not the main thing. So now we have a fork, and again, I work at GitHub, so we have awesome tools. And now we're going to use the code spaces. And that's something that not everybody knows. And I love talking about code spaces because it's basically VS Code on your browser. And the cool thing here is that you don't have to clone to your local machine because you're going to open this already in the repository, right? So your code is going to be here. The only downside, I guess, is like it takes a few seconds to load depending on how internet is. Cool thing, like, I've never done that because I have a very strong PC, but you can actually pay to upgrade the code spaces, like, how many cores you want. It's pretty cool. So here we are. Here's
Oh
your
yeah,
project.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, you can actually, the main thing for code spaces, you can like configure a JSON, and when you hire somebody, for example, have like all the things that they need installed already instead of going through all these new machine things.
It's cool. I need to say I don't use it that much. I'm a little bit old school, where like I have my VS Code on my laptop, and I like to get down stuff on my terminal and do things. And like sometimes I don't even go in VS Code. Like I'm weird. I like VI. I like Vim. But I really love the experience that was created by GitHub with VS Code in the browser, though.
And this is like really useful, like when you're teaching in a workshop, or like, you don't know if a person has a good laptop or what they have, you don't know if they have VS Code in their machine. Like, a funny fact, like when I was still in the US, I think it was 2021, because I went to the movies, watched Spider-Man. And it was like a new first day. I was seeing my movies in the first day when I was in the US. And there was a guy on my side and he started talking to me. Hey, what? Because like everybody, all the fans excited. Like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a developer. And he's like, oh, I am CS school too, like whatever. And I know we're talking. So he say, we use Dreamwave waiver, and that was 2021, right? And his college made him use Dreamwave.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, college, you really like to upgrade your curriculum. This was in New Jersey.
I
To
didn't know it was still even possible to use it. I didn't know it was still out
Apparently
there.
it is. Yes. And I was
Oh
like,
my god.
wow, how can a student leave college and get a job? Because I don't think any companies are like, I don't know. So yeah, that's why I love
I
these
mean,
tools.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to bitch any product, but like it was a thing in 2005, maybe up to 2010, and we moved to other like products to do development. So I was like, for the young people in the room, I mean, like you may not know that product, you may not have used it, but like it's a thing from history. I did, as I said, I did not even know it was
I
still
haven't never
existing.
used it myself. I knew the name from history because I had fear of it.
Yeah,
I know
now I
what
feel
it
whole
was,
because I
but
used
I
it.
never used that.
That was pretty good at the time though, but it didn't follow up with like modern practice and UI and UX. So at some point it got left behind. But wow, we have a job to do with like college or university
Right.
computer
And
science
that's
degree
like
because
the idea behind this workshop. And I'm just gonna install my cute team because I do that, you know. I like things cute. So
now we're talking.
right. And here we have like the project itself is pretty straightforward, like as this HTML and CSS with the cards. And technically these two could just come here like there's a template, right? Telling them what to do. But because I want to tell them a little bit about Copilot, how to use Copilot, we're gonna open our beautiful Copilot chat. And let me tell you, I have been talking more to this little guy than most people in my life. So yes, I say thank you and please to him because we are besties at this point. So I just give him the context. So I am contributing to this open source project. And tell me what it is about. That's like one of the best uses of Copilot like for students and for people starting to contribute to open source. I remember the first time I contributed to open source, I got this code base and it was huge and it was terrified because like I didn't know where even was the front end of that. So with Copilot, I can just ask him first to explain the code, what's going on, and then it's a little less scary.
It's a pretty good learning tool and it helps you to get started, as you said.
Hmm. And he's telling me there's a collaborative program, it's a web app, and no, he's explaining everything to me. So I'm gonna tell him. That's why, because I use the ask, right? And then have the agents that's and tell you that because of being in devrel, like you mentioned, you don't have time to code as much as we did before, right? Because now we work it all day, and after work you're just tired. You don't want to code more. But
Yeah, I don't.
since Agent Mode came out, lots of projects I had and didn't have time nor energy to do, I was able to do things to it because it gets the ball rolling, right? Like all the initial stuff that's kind of massive and pushes you down. I just, hey, Copilot, I'm going to create this project. Can you get it started for me? And the Agent Mode does that. It's a bit scary sometimes because sometimes he does a bit too much. And you say, hey, slow down. I actually want to code this part
Yeah,
myself.
calm down.
Yeah, like sure. But it has been really helpful. So like now we have this and they're gonna tell him, hey, my job here is to leave a tip on the tips grid. And my name is Pachi Parra. And my tip is to watch the devrel show. That's one thing that I love that I'm not sure why. And that's why people, you cannot use Copilot to work. I'm not sure how he's going to interpret that and what it's going to do. I mean, for the workshop, I have this problem. I like to see, like, sometimes it does exactly what I think it would do. Sometimes it's just like, creates a whole new thing. And that's why prompt
Yeah.
engineering matters.
Yeah, that's the thing with those tools that helps you to code, and like you need to understand a little bit what they're trying to achieve, and you need to have some kind of knowledge because it can go in all direction.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, once you have a pretty good idea, it's great.
I actually like the idea of vibe coding when I'm doing nothing serious because, like, it's kind of fun to see where things are going and what's happening. But when I need to like ship something that's a little more important, or even like the project I started vibe coding is ready to be something more mature, then it has to be me.
Yeah, and recently it helps me to get starting on a project or do smaller application that like it was in my to-do list. And one example that I've vibe code recently was like I wanted a Chrome extension that helped me to have post-it note to some websites. And there's some plugins out there that does that, but nothing that are like how I wanted it to work. Because sometimes I have like, oh, I need to add a note to a website. So next time I go to that website, I remember that I need to do that, or that there's this.
That's cool.
And I was like, it's not too much important for me, so I don't have time to write it, but it
Mhm.
still would be nice to have it. And I do not care if the code is not nice because it's just like it's an extension that I'm going to run in my browser.
Mhm.
So I vibe code that extension and now it's working and I use it. And that was a pretty good example of like, yeah, I would never had taken the time to do that because it was not critical, but it was a great usage of like
Mhm.
those kind of AI too.
And like Copilot is the thing. I think we are launching this week or next week. I'm not sure, but GitHub Spark, and that's gonna be like a whole new thing. I wish that it was released already so I could demo this, but I'm not sure if I can. So, but yes, like just stay out for the launch of the GitHub Spark. Is like Copilot on steroids. Sorry. But yes, like back
We'll look
here,
for it.
I like Claude. Like it always tells me what it has done. Right? It's not just hey, there's code. No, like I've added your tip to the programming tips board. Your contribution has been successful at and details here, right? Right now, it's actually where, right? And then I check my code because, and here it is, right? There's my tip. Let me just install the live server here to make sure that it really works. And that's why I like front end, especially for workshops, because like you can show the students
Yeah.
what they did. And let's see. We're connecting. And here we go.
Yay.
Our tips
That's a
here,
good tip.
right? And our contribution is done. And I'm gonna show you my favorite thing about GitHub and AI. Um, One thing that I'm very lazy sometimes, and writing commit messages I know is important, but I just didn't. So my commits are like first again. Oh no, it's gonna work now. And I was
Oh
like,
no, no, no,
yes.
no,
But
no.
like this little button here, this little stars, they changed my life because I just click in here and it's gonna analyze I did and it's gonna name it.
Oh,
Of
that's
course,
pretty cool.
if you do too much stuff, then it's gonna get crazy. But like
Yeah.
add new programming tip from Pachi Parra to tips board. And you know, I love it. I think it's beautiful. That's my favorite thing that AI
Oh, I
has
didn't know that.
ever done.
I
And I'm
didn't
gonna
know
change this.
about that. And yes, it's so much better than having just like had attempt number 2 test and Yeah, no. You need to have meaningful commits. That's a pet peeve of mine. So happy I can point folks that do not leave
I know.
meaningful commit message to
I
that
really
tool
like
now. I
this.
didn't know it was possible, so that's great.
Yeah, my projects, my first like five comments maybe were really well written, and when I started getting down to codes and change a lot of things, like no, it's just you so hard working on that, and sometimes my comment message could have like embedded words when I'm doing my projects and I get stuck. I was like, it's not sure, But yeah, so we have our commit done. So now we come back here to our repository, right? And that's the cool, like the takeaway for the students here is like, you're gonna end this workshop with your first commit or first PR. So here, if some people are not, if you fork something and you do something different, he's gonna say that I can contribute, right? Because I did something that is ahead of the main repository. So I'm gonna click here. Okay, why is not? Oh, because I didn't put data. Okay, now you're gonna say that my branch is one commit ahead, right? And I'm gonna open pull request and see the name of the commit is here automatically now, and I love that too because I wish you'd write the description for me as well. Then my life will be. But I'm just gonna copy this and paste this because and create pull request, and that's done. That's like the end of the workshop. Like I didn't automate. I should probably do some automation. So like you're gonna organize the order of the things. I don't do usually do the
Mhm.
merge right away because since lots of people are doing this, there's lots of merge conflicts because like the order things. So I do that by hand. But I do like doing some things like the old way, just me getting down the code. And one of the things is conflict. I don't know why I like to deal with like conflicts on GitHub by hand. It's weird. So yes, we have it here, and I did that, and I sent the pull request, and job done. And my students in the first open source contribution, and they could just show people like and they feel proud, and I feel proud, and yes, and give them stickers.
Oh, that's great. I once in a while, it's not a talk. Once in a while, I give a talk about like how to start in as an open source contributor, and I think I should update that talk with using Go Copilot or doing some light coding because that helps you to understand the code if you want to start a project. Because most of the time, people are just afraid to contribute because first the human side, like there's some maintainer that are not good people, they don't play well with other, but there's also the code side of things where like you go to your projects, usually you try, like most people want to like contribute to a bigger project, which means a bigger code base, which means like a lot of things to understand and to learn. So having a tool that can explain to you like how it's working, what it is, explaining you part of the code helps you to contribute to the code. I think it's a great addition to that. So love
Mm-hmm.
it. Love it. Thanks for the demo. People, you can try it. If you didn't try it yet, go on github.com/features/copilot, and you can have some fun with Copilot. And if you have any question, now you know someone you can contact.
Yes, but depending the question. 'Cause if Copilot hallucinates with you, that's not my fault. I can help, and sometimes he does.
That may be the case. Awesome. Pachi, I feel like we're reaching the end of the show. So thanks for the demo. Thanks for everything. Any last word you want to share with folks before we go offline?
And thank you again to invite me. Thank you for watching. And yeah, no, just if you want to catch up on GitHub stuff or learn Portuguese, follow me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. A pleasure to have you as a guest. Thanks for the people who watch live. Thanks for the comments. And also, thanks for the people who will watch the recording. So, on that note, folks, see you in 2 weeks for the next episode of the Devrel Show. Have a good one.